Here is the coach for his weekly hit, Dan Lanning. Coach, can you hear us?
I can hear you. How you guys doing?
Hey, doing good. How are you, most importantly?
We are back, man. I'm doing good. It's exciting. It's football time.
What's the balance between you go so hard, you put so much into it, and then you get to the summer, you get to relax and breathe, kind of recharge the batteries, but then you get back. Where is the balance between you're about to enter into a 6-month gulag slog, but it's what you love? Like, where is that balance?
I mean, I've said it before, there isn't balance, but it's certainly something you enjoy so much you're excited about, right? And game one's a little different than when you really get in the thick of 2, 3, and 4. You know, you're talking about an opponent we've been watching for a really long time here. You know, when you break down Montana State and you feel like you have an idea of what to prepare for, but the truth is there's still a ton of unknowns in game one, but you can chase ghost a lot. You can prepare for a lot of different things, but there's excitement for me to be back to work. Usually always at the end of vacation, I'm kind of always chomping at the bit to get back at it.
I never coached, but when I played, I always thought game one was strange to me because nothing fit right. The uniform fit a little tighter. My knee braces were it's different than practice. Nothing ever felt quite right. Game one, getting ready for it, and it took me a quarter to kind of just feel like, okay, this is what games are like. Do you have that as a coach, or is it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I tried on my game pants last week, and they fit a little tight, so I'm getting bigger game pants. I had a good summer. I ate well. So by the end of the year, I usually lose weight. So I'll be down, by the end of the season. But, yeah, it's a good point. That's why you got to try on your stuff before.
So we're going to get into football here, but what was the favorite moment of the summer for Dan Lanning?
Oh, just spending time with the family. We went back to Missouri for a little bit, went to the lake a little bit. I tried to throw the boys off the tube. Not as easy as it used to be. They're a little bit more resilient. But just spending time with the family was a lot of fun.
But you got them off there, right? I mean,
we got them up too. Yeah. I got yelled at by mom once, which means I'm doing my job.
You got to establish dominance. You can't let them win that, or they're going to start talking nest.
No, you got to throw them.
Exactly. Yeah. And we rented a boat. We don't own a boat, but we rented a boat. I'm going to have to rent a stronger boat next summer. Yeah. So
you adapt. You adapt and you learn, right?
Would you ever buy a boat? Is that something you'd want to do?
Probably not for a long, long time. Like it never made sense to me to use a boat for 4 days in the summer and own one. You know, so if I ever had more than that amount of time, maybe. But like, don't you have to take care of it? Yeah. It's kind of like a dog, right? Don't you have to take care of those? I mean,
well, that's what the kids are for.
I can dog sit for a weekend. I can drive a boat for a weekend. I'm not good much after that.
Yeah, I got you.
Boat guy tends to be, but you'll know. Like Mike Leach was a boat guy. Like you'll know if you're a boat guy. It just it's a call.
And I got a feeling Mike somehow was able to find more time to go get on a boat than I've been able to find in my career so far.
I think that's right. Well, you mentioned Montana State. Now they're different than last year, but general question. Now that we're in this transfer portal, NIL, college football world, how much harder is it to prepare for teams year over year when there's so much personnel movement and coach movement?
Yeah, there's preparing, I don't know, there's a little bit of a guessing game, right? Like we play Oklahoma State next week, and their team's completely different. Their entire staff's different. Their players, there's a ton of different players on their team. And Montana State, much like us, they lost some players because they have a really good team, and there's some new faces. But then there's some steady eddies that you expect to see, and were there last year as well. So that's part of the game, right? That's trying to figure out the identity of a team and what are the keys to success, and that's definitely part of it.
Is week one more just about you guys then? Is this more of a unique game than what the rest of the season because it's more about just prepping yourself?
Well, I'll argue that every week's more about us than who we're playing, but the prep is different, right? And you can't spend time working one play 15 times because there's a great chance that you're not going to see that play, right? So you give a little bit more variety. You let your rules play out for your players, and then you operate from there.
Is there something that's more important in the first game that maybe isn't as important as the season goes on that you're looking for?
I'd say winning football is winning football. I think it's important early in the season, like common denominators that show up in first games is pre-snap penalties, of teams not being on the same page. And then tackling is always poor at the beginning of the season than it is at the end. So those are probably two things that we spend a lot of time, focusing on, because once you get into a rhythm of the season, you don't see that show up as much.
Yeah, I want to ask you, going back to the transfer portal, I think it kind of relates to, you said maybe early on, not everything's clicking. Like the world of the offensive line, it took you guys a couple weeks last year, and then you made one switch and guys kind of settled in. It was one of the best O-lines in the country. You get 3 new O-linemen that are coming in the transfer portal. How do you in this world get a position that is about continuity and guys kind of growing and playing together? How do you get 3 new guys to pair with not just 2, but all the depth pieces, and in the span of 4 or 5 months, get those guys to be a cohesive unit?
Well, I think that's the key. 4 or 5 months is a long time, right? And that's a long time if you use your time well. And these guys have been around each other through spring, through summer, and fall camp is a great opportunity. That doesn't mean things might not look different, and we'll have to adapt and adjust, but that's part of the fun in college football to me, is solving those problems as the season goes on and figuring them out. And, when you watch a lot of practice film, it's not necessarily as easy as, just watching a game on Saturday and saying, oh, this makes sense, why don't you do this? There's a lot of other pieces to that.
This is Oregon coach Dan Lanning with us every Thursday here on 105.1 The Fan. By the way, we're on FM now. I don't know if you caught that, but
congratulations.
Big time. Yeah, thanks. Third year. Okay, so this is an interesting stat. We were talking about this the other day. If head coach, OC, defensive coordinator, and strength coach, 4 key spots, this is your third year with all 4 the same guys in place. That is, believe it or not, that is top 10% in continuity in college football. What does that? You do, yeah, because there's so much movement.
It's really year 4 for everybody besides Coach Stein.
Yeah.
Coach Stein going into year 3. So we've been really fortunate to have great continuity here. And I grew up in Missouri. I remember watching, Gary Pinkel had a lot of success there at Mizzou for several years. And when you looked at his staff, that's one of the common denominators. Like, they had the same group of guys working together. You look back at old Oregon programs and you're sitting there and saying, okay, Nick Aliotti, right, Mike Bellotti, there were these names, Don Pellin. There was these guys that have been on staff forever, and that continuity is really great for your program because everybody operates on the same page. The danger there is you got to make sure that everybody's hungry and not just satisfied, well, this is the way we always did it, right? The challenge is we might have to go do something differently or change a little bit how we do things. I think that's obviously really important.
Is it unrealistic in today's world? You mentioned, that Missouri and the Oregon guys were there forever. It was insane. Right. Is that just unrealistic in today's world of college football?
No, I don't think so. I mean, change is part of the game, and when you have a lot of success, right, that people are going to get opportunities too. I think it's harder to leave great places now in college football because of the unknowns, because of you might be walking to a team that just lost 30% of their roster, so to the portal, or a lot of transition with the coaches. So when you find something good, I think you have to recognize, hey, we got something that's pretty good here. I'm not going to leave just to leave, and it happens, right? People do transition. You should expect it at some point that it'll happen here because we have such good coaches. They're going to get opportunities to become head coaches and coordinators at other places. But I also know how many opportunities our coaches have been offered that they haven't taken because they believe in this place and what we do.
And you haven't really had the need. I mean, you guys have been uber successful to you have to make the decision to make a lot of changes. Is that, I mean, and you're a fairly new head coach. Is that something that you've thought about or picked people's brains about at some point in your career? How do you decide when to go about that, to look at it and, hey, this is a place, even if I like what we're doing, this is what we need to do to kind of go to the next place?
Well, one, you can't be afraid to make changes, but I also think the best head coaches recognize when you miss and you don't hire the people you hoped you'd hired, like that's a failure as you have a coach if you can't get them to perform the way you want or meet the expectations that you set. So before you ever make changes, you say, hey, where can I be better, and how can I make sure that I set the standard and the expectation higher? Any situation where I'm letting people go on our staff, that means I failed in the process of hiring them, right, and coaching them through that process. So at some point, could it happen? Absolutely, that can happen. There's high expectations in this job. You have to perform at a certain level. You have to do it well. But that doesn't mean, like, for me, that would be an indictment that we did something wrong on our end of hiring the wrong people if we weren't able to figure out a way to make those people perform at a high level. And we're lucky here. We've hit some home runs with the coaches that we brought on staff.
The last one I want to ask you about a staff is the chief of staff or the general manager, whatever people want to call it. I think you call it the chief of staff with Marshall. You brought over from A&M, and you guys met, I believe, at Alabama. Talk to me about that role, because that seems to be now in the NFL, general manager is just as important as any position in football. And it kind of feels like that is starting to become that way with NIL and now revenue sharing and roster building, the transfer portal. That is seemingly to become NFL light here real quick in college football.
Yeah, I think it's important. You know, when I first got here, I thought it was very important for me to have somebody that I trusted, that was low ego, high performance, and saw things, you know, similar to how I saw them, but also could see what I didn't see, answer the questions I didn't see, and create some intelligent conversation about, like, okay, what can we do to continue to improve? What can we do to continue to get better? And Marshall's been that for me, all things personnel to staff to, you know, internal decisions in the program. Like, he's kind of been that voice of reason for me to be able to bounce ideas off of and know that he's not always going to just, whatever I say is the right answer. You're not looking for yes people. So that's been a part of our culture since he got here. Since I got here, I knew I wanted that. And somebody in that role that would do an elite job. And, you know, I think we have the best in the nation. There's nobody that has a chief of staff better than ours in my mind. And we just work really well together, and he works well with our staff and our coaches to keep us performing at the top level.
You said at Media Day your team gained, something like 1,300 pounds? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Why?
And I think James Crepea immediately went to, like, the media guide and started adding the pounds up saying, wait a minute. But I don't think people realize, like, we lie in our media guide. Like, I think Tez was like 180 last year in the media guide.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
yeah, we put on some good weight.
Why did you feel that was necessary?
To what?
Gain 1,300 pounds.
Well, I don't think it's just about gaining weight. I think it's about gaining power and strength. You know, and we've had like that. People always ask me, well, what should I weigh? Well, what's your DEXA score? What's your body mass index? Like, there's pieces to go into that. Like, when are you your fastest, and when does weight gain start to attribute to you slowing down? How does that affect your flexibility? So to me, every player on our team has a specific goal weight, and that's based off their DEXA scores, their position, right? I'm not looking for, like, a lot of O-linemen that are, you know, 6% body fat. You need to be able to move bodies up front. You know, on the same note, I'm not looking for a lot of wideouts that are 30% body fat, right? You don't want that. So each guy has a goal. If we can get bigger, faster, stronger, you know, each off season, I think that's really important. I think what we've done really well, and what Coach Love and his strength staff has done a great job of, is maintaining our strength through season, maintaining our jump numbers with our sports science and Ben McKay and his crew in season, and being able to attack those things.
Yeah, I always like to see if they could shave about 10 pounds off my playing weight. You know, like they go to the PI or PR guy and be like, hey, man, can we put that more like 308? I didn't like 318. Like, just, yeah. Lyman always want.
You probably could have affected that, right? By,
well,
you know,
yeah,
I'm with you.
You know, back in the 90s, Coach, our sports and nutrition wasn't as dialed in. Like, we didn't even have.
Believe that.
I mean, think about when you played. Like, I talk about this, the evolution of the game. We didn't have, and I played at a real program. We didn't have training table. There wasn't 24/7 food. There was. No. It is a completely different game,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's night and day. It's night and day. Yeah.
You got any hot takes on the Micah Parsons trade?
No, not really.
Did you see?
I mean, is he having college eligibility left?
Yeah, really. Did you see that? He got traded. Somebody told me that you have been watching that Dallas Cowboys documentary. Is that accurate?
How'd you know that? That thing is legit, man. I think that, you know, The Last Dance forever, I would say, was like the best documentary ever. This one, there's just so much. I guess I was younger, maybe a little bit during the time, but I remember the Cowboys being good. I remember the 49ers being good. I remember Michael Irvin maybe doing some crazy things, but I didn't know the detail. Like Charles Haley, holy moly.
Yep.
This dude was crazy on Sundays and an unbelievable player, but there was another crazy, you know, going on there as well. And how the behind the scenes in that documentary was pretty awesome to see.
Yeah. I played with a guy in Tampa that was a teammate of Charles Haley's for like 6 years and said he was the most terrifying human being on the planet.
Well, he's insane.
He would have like Charles Haley stories that you wouldn't believe, They're like, no, that's insane. And then like 2 other players be like, oh no, like that happened. I was there. He just, that dude was a different animal. I don't know if like you could do that today. I think
Certainly be harder.
Yeah.
It'd certainly be harder to operate quite like that today.
All right. Best of luck against Montana State, Coach. Great to have you back, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Dan Lanning, Oregon coach, Thursdays at 4. Brought to you by Philbrook Law. Other lawyers fight for clicks.
Yeah.
Philbrook Law fights for wins.